The council chamber was silent. 2,000 alien species sat in their seats, waiting. At the center podium stood Ambassador Junho, the last human representative in the Galactic Council. His face showed new emotion, new anger, new sadness, just calm. Junho looked at the faces around him. Some looked proud, others looked uncomfortable, most looked indifferent. These were the same beings who had voted yesterday, the vote that changed everything. "I will be brief," Junho said. His voice echoed in the massive chamber. "Humanity withdraws from the Galactic Council. This is effective immediately. We will have no further contact with any Council species or territories. Do not follow us. Do not contact us. This is goodbye. Doc. Doc." He turned and walked toward the exit. No one stopped him. No one spoke. The doors closed behind him, and he was gone. In the viewing gallery above, Fleet Commander Yuna watched the scene. She pressed a button on her wrist device. "He's done. Begin the evacuation." Across the galaxy, human ships started moving. Every human station, every colony, every outpost beyond their original 47 systems received the same order. Leave. Take everything. Leave nothing behind. The aliens watched in confusion as human ships appeared at every human settlement. Within hours, entire colonies were empty. Space stations that had orbited alien worlds for decades simply vanished. Trade ships that had been loading cargo suddenly departed without explanation. On the Council homeworld, Counselor Zinthera stood at her window. She was old, even by her species standards. She had been on the Council for 300 years. She watched as the last human transport ship lifted from the planet's surface. "They're really leaving," her assistant said beside her. "Yes," Zinthera replied quietly. "And we may have just made the biggest mistake in galactic history." Her assistant looked confused. Mistake? The humans were becoming too aggressive, too dangerous. When they destroyed those Krethexi ships, after the Krethexi attacked New Incheon, Zinthera interrupted. After 4 million human civilians died. After we did nothing. The Council voted to condemn the attack. We condemned the human response. Zinthera's voice rose. We condemned them for defending themselves, for striking back at the ones who murdered millions of their people. We told them they used excessive force. The assistant was quiet now. Zinthera continued. And when they asked us to help defend their colonies, what did we do? We told them it would destabilize the region. We told them to show restraint. We let their people die, and then we blamed them for surviving 47 human systems. That was all they had been allowed to keep for 200 years. Humanity had been discovered by Council scouts 2 centuries ago. They had not been invited to join the Council. They had been forced, integrated, given strict limits on their military, their territory, their technology. The Council had called it guidance. The humans had called it something else. Commander Yuna stood on the bridge of the battleship Guardian as it crossed into human space. Around her, hundreds of ships moved in formation. These were not all military vessels. There were colony ships, cargo haulers, medical transports, and civilian craft. Every human was coming home. "Commander, we're receiving messages from Council space," her communications officer said. "They're demanding we return. They say we're violating trade agreements." Yuna smiled coldly. "Tell them we don't recognize those agreements anymore. We signed them under duress. We're done." On the far side of the fleet, Dr. Minho sat in his laboratory ship. Around him, his team worked frantically. They were packing everything. Every piece of research, every prototype, every scrap of data they had collected during humanity's time in Council space. "Doctor, should we delete the shared files?" a young researcher asked. "The ones we kept on Council servers?" "Delete everything," Minho said. Every medical breakthrough we shared, every agricultural technique, every bit of technology we gave them. If they want it back, they can develop it themselves. His team looked shocked. We gave them everything, Minho continued, his voice bitter. We solved their food shortages. We cured their plagues. We fought their wars. And when we needed them, they gave us paperwork and sympathy. Back on the Council homeworld, celebrations had begun in some quarters. Many Council species had feared humanity. They had called humans aggressive, unpredictable, dangerous. Now, those humans were gone. Finally, we can have peace, declared Chancellor Vren in the Emergency Council session. The humans were a destabilizing influence. Good riddance. Many council members cheered. Others remained silent. Zinthera stood and spoke. "You fools," she said softly, but her voice carried through the chamber. "The humans were one species among 2,000, Vren replied dismissively. "We will adapt. One species that provided 73% of our military peacekeepers," Zinthera said. "One species that solved most of our technological problems. One species that actually kept the border system safe. You think we'll just adapt?" "Doc, we managed before they arrived," another counselor said. "No," Zinthera shook her head. "Before they arrived, we were stagnant. We had been fighting the same wars for centuries, making no progress. They changed everything, and we never even thanked them. We just used them." The chamber erupted in argument. Zinthera left. There was no point talking to them. They would understand soon enough. In deep space, between the stars, something was happening. In a region that appeared empty on all council maps, thousands of human ships gathered. These were not the ships the council had seen. These were bigger, newer, stronger. Commander Yuna looked at the massive construction yards floating in the void. Shipyards that had been built in secret over decades. Ships that had been hidden, prepared, waiting for this day. "How many?" she asked. 15,000 warships complete, Commander, her tactical officer reported. "Another 5,000 under construction. All equipped with weapons and shields the Council doesn't know we have," Yuna nodded. 200 years. 200 years of being told they were too aggressive, too dangerous, too primitive. 200 years of restrictions and limits. Those days were over. Humanity was free, and humanity was angry. "Send the message to all fleet commanders," Yuna ordered. "No human ship enters Council space. No human responds to Council communications. We are ghosts to them now. They wanted us gone. We're gone." The galaxy was about to learn what it had lost, and what it had created. 6 months had passed since the humans left. The Council waited for them to come back. They expected messages begging for readmission. They expected humans to realize they needed the Council. Nothing came. Only silence. Counselor Zinthera could not stop thinking about the humans. Something bothered her. Something she had heard years ago. A rumor about classified files from humanity's first contact with the Council. She had access to the archives. She had the clearance. But she had never looked before. Now she needed to know. Late one night, she entered the Council archives alone. The building was empty, except for the security systems. She walked through rows of data storage until she found what she was looking for. The file was marked First Contact, Earth, Classification, Level, Maximum. Her hands shook as she opened it. The first document was a scout report from 203 years ago. She read it carefully. Scout Ship Discovery has located a new civilization. Planet designated Earth, Class 12 Death World. Recommend extreme caution. Zinthera's blood ran cold. Class 12 Death World. That was the highest rating. Most Council species evolved on Class 3 or Class 4 worlds. Comfortable places with mild weather and gentle gravity. She kept reading. Earth gravity is 0.5 times higher than Council standard. Atmosphere contains high oxygen levels that would be toxic to 70% of Council species. Weather patterns include violent storms, extreme temperature variations, and destructive natural disasters. Dominant species has evolved to survive these conditions. The next section made her sit down. Analysis of human history reveals constant warfare. In the 1,000 years before our contact, humans survived 6 extinction-level wars using nuclear and biological weapons, 3 global climate catastrophes, complete collapse of multiple civilizations, and continued to expand despite massive casualties. Psychological profile conclusion. This species does not surrender. They adapt, or they die trying. Zinthera felt sick. She continued reading. Additional concern. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. They do not have natural weapons like claws or venom. Instead, they outlast their prey. They chase prey until the prey dies from exhaustion. This psychology extends to all aspects of human society. They do not give up. Ever. The final recommendation was highlighted in red. Under no circumstances should humanity be allowed to perceive the Council as a threat or enemy. Recommendation. Integrate them into Council structure with strict limitations on military and territorial expansion. Keep them dependent on Council approval. Keep them grateful for Council protection. If they ever unify against the Council, the results would be catastrophic. Zinthera sat in the dark archive for a long time. Now she understood. The Council had not invited humanity to join. They had trapped them, given them just enough freedom to feel included, but never enough to be independent. And it had worked. For 200 years. Until New Xi'an, she accessed more files. Reports from human colonies. Records of human military actions. The pattern was clear. Every time the Council had a problem they could not solve, they sent humans. Pirate invasions? Send human marines. Border conflicts? Send human peacekeepers. Disease outbreaks? Send human doctors. Dr. Minho's name appeared in hundreds of reports. His medical research had cured 17 major diseases across the Council. His agricultural methods had solved food shortages on 40 planets. His team had developed the technology that allowed 3 species to survive in environments that would have killed them. And how did the Council thank him? They classified his work as Council property and gave him a small medal. Zinthera found military records. Commander Yuna's fleet had stopped the Krathexi invasion 3 years ago. She had lost 2,000 human soldiers doing it. The Council gave her a citation for adequate service. She found the file on New Incheon. 4 million dead. The Krathexi had used banned weapons. The Council had investigated for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. While the humans buried their dead. And then the Council announced that the Krathexi attack was regrettable but understandable given human aggressive expansion. Humanity's response had been swift. Commander Yuna's fleet destroyed every Krathexi military installation within their reach. They did it in 5 days. The Krathexi fleet was annihilated, and the Council had condemned humanity for it. Zinthera turned off the archive terminal. She needed to tell the Council. They needed to know what they had done. The next day, she called an emergency session. She presented the evidence. She showed them the first contact reports. She explained the danger. Chancellor Vren laughed. "You expect us to be afraid?" he said. "They are one species. We are 2,000. They have 47 systems. We have the entire galaxy. Let them hide in their little corner. We don't need them. You don't understand," Zinthera said desperately. "We kept them controlled because we feared them. Now they're free, and we gave them every reason to hate us." "Let them hate," another counselor said. "They can't hurt us. They're too small." Zinthera looked around the chamber. No one believed her. They were all too confident, too comfortable. They had forgotten what humans were capable of. because humans had been their servants for so long. She left the session early. There was nothing more she could say. In human space, things were very different. The 47 systems were buzzing with activity. Ships moved constantly between worlds. But these were not just any ships. Commander Yuna stood in the command center of Fortress Station, the largest military installation humanity had ever built. Around her, holographic displays showed the entire human territory. "Report," she said. "All civilians are settled, Commander," her operations officer said. "Every human is now within protected space. Our defense network is complete. And the fleet? 15,000 warships operational, 3,000 more completing final tests. All systems functioning above expected parameters." Yuna nodded. 200 years of secret construction. 200 years of hiding their true capabilities. The Council had thought they were watching humanity closely. They had no idea. "Commander, we're detecting Council scout ships at our border," the sensor officer reported. "They're trying to scan our territory." Jam their sensors," Yuna ordered, "and send them a message. Tell them they are not welcome. If they cross our border, we will consider it an act of war." The scout ships retreated. Dr. Minho was working in his new laboratory on Earth. It was 10 times larger than anything he had been allowed to have under Council oversight. His team was working on projects the Council had forbidden them to pursue. And detention as well in 40 BR 2000. "Doctor, the Council is requesting our medical database," a researcher informed him. "There's an outbreak on Talvis Prime. They need the vaccine protocol you developed." Minho did not look up from his work. "Tell them no." "But sir, thousands will die." "Thousands of humans died on New Incheon," Minho said coldly. "The Council did nothing. They can solve their own problems now." His team was uncomfortable but said nothing. They understood. The Council had used human knowledge freely and given nothing in return. Back on the Council homeworld, the first signs of trouble were appearing. Trade routes that had run smoothly for decades were now disrupted. The reason was simple. Human pilots and human security had kept those routes safe. Without them, pirates were attacking freely. Border systems were reporting increased raids. The Council sent their defense fleets. Without human support, those fleets were easily defeated. Species that had not fought their own battles in centuries had forgotten how. Chancellor Vren called another Council session. This time, he was less confident. "We need to address the human situation," he admitted. "Complications?" Zinthera said bitterly. "We're falling apart without them. And you call it complications? We simply need to adjust," Vren insisted. "Perhaps we should send a diplomatic mission. Offer them a better deal." "You still don't understand," Zinthera said. "They don't want a deal. They want nothing to do with us. And can you blame them?" The Council argued for hours. Finally, they agreed. They would send a delegation to human space. They would apologize. They would offer humanity a full Council seat, with no restrictions. Surely the humans would accept. Surely they would come back. Zinthera said nothing. She knew better. You could not enslave someone for 200 years and then expect them to forgive you because you finally said sorry. The humans were gone. And they were not coming back. 18 months after humanity left, the galaxy was burning. The Krithexi had been quiet at first. They watched. They waited. They saw that the humans were really gone. Then they attacked. 3 Council border worlds fell in 1 week. The Council sent their elite defense fleet to stop them. The fleet had 1,200 ships. It had always been enough before. The Krithexi destroyed them in 4 hours. Commander Yuna received the battle reports in her command center. She read them carefully, then handed them to her tactical officer. "Analysis," she said. The officer studied the data. The Council fleet used standard defensive formations. The same tactics they've used for 300 years. The Krithexi adapted and overwhelmed them easily. "Why didn't the Council adapt?" a younger officer asked. Yuna smiled grimly. Because we always did the adapting for them. They gave us orders. We figured out how to actually win the battles. They took the credit. We took the casualties. She turned off the display. Send a message to all border stations. Monitor council space, but do not intervene. This is not our problem anymore. The officer hesitated. Commander, millions of civilians are dying. Yes, Yuna said quietly. Just like 4 million civilians died on New Enchan, while the council debated proper procedure. We learned that lesson. Now they can learn it too. Across the galaxy, the crisis grew worse. The Krethexi were not the only problem. Without human peacekeepers, old conflicts reignited. Species that had hated each other for millennia went to war again. They had only stayed peaceful because human forces kept them separated. Trade routes collapsed. Pirates attacked freely. Criminal networks that had been destroyed by human special forces rebuilt themselves in months. On the council homeworld, Chancellor Vren faced a chamber in chaos. Representatives from 200 species were shouting at once. Some demanded military action. Others wanted to negotiate. Most were just panicking. Order, Vren shouted. We need order. Councillor Zinthera stood slowly. The chamber quieted. Everyone knew she had predicted this disaster. I told you, she said simply. We can fix this, Vren insisted. We can train new peacekeepers. We can rebuild our military. With what? Zinthera interrupted. Do you know how long it took to train a human peacekeeper? 6 months. Do you know how long it takes to train one of our soldiers to do the same job? 3 years. And that's if they survive the training. Most don't. The chamber was silent now. Do you know why? Zinthera continued. Because humans come from a death world. They evolved to survive. Our species evolved to be comfortable. We can't replace them. We never could. Minus. Done. Done. Then what do we do? A counselor asked desperately. We apologize, Zinthera said. We beg them to help us. And we pray they're more merciful than we were. The vote was unanimous. The council would send a delegation to human space. They would bring gifts. They would offer anything humans wanted. They would beg, if necessary. Chancellor Vren himself would lead the delegation. 50 ships. The finest the council had. They carried treasures from 1,000 worlds. Technology. Art. Resources. Everything they could think of. The fleet arrived at the border of human space 3 days later. They broadcast their message on all frequencies. This is Chancellor Vren of the Galactic Council. We come in peace. We wish to speak with human leadership. We bring gifts and proposals for a new partnership. The response came quickly. Commander Yuna's face appeared on every view screen in the council fleet. You are not welcome in human space, she said. Her voice was cold. Turn back. Vren stepped forward. Commander, please. We need to talk. The galaxy is in crisis. We need humanity's help. Yuna's expression did not change. You need us? For 200 years, you needed us to die for you. You needed us to sacrifice our children for your peace. You needed us to accept insults and restrictions and contempt. Where were you when New Enchan burned? We made a mistake, Vren said. We know that now. We're sorry. We want to make it right. You condemned us for surviving, Yuna continued, as if he had not spoken. You condemned us for fighting back against the ones who murdered millions of our people. We heard you clearly. Now, hear us. Go away. Please. Vren was begging now. Millions are dying. Only you can stop this. Millions of humans died, Yuna said softly. You didn't care then. We don't care now. Leave. Don't come back. If you cross into human space, we will destroy you. This is your only warning. The transmission ended. Vren stood frozen. Around him, his crew was silent. No one knew what to say. Sir, the sensor officer said quietly. Vren looked at the sensor display. His blood ran cold. The edge of human space was lit up with energy signatures. Ships. Thousands of them. The computer counted and recounted, unable to believe its own readings. 15,000 signatures. Maybe more. Every single one was putting out power readings 3 times higher than any Council dreadnought. That's impossible, Vren whispered. We monitored them. We limited their military. They shouldn't have more than a few hundred warships. They hid them, Zinthara said. She had insisted on joining the delegation. They hid them for decades. While we congratulated ourselves on controlling them, they were building, planning, preparing for this day. But where? They come from a death world, Chancellor. Survival is what they do. Did you really think they would trust us after we enslaved them? The Council fleet turned back. As they left, the human warships did not move. They just watched, silent, waiting. The news spread across the Council. Humanity had 15,000 warships, maybe more. The entire Council military had 8,000 ships, combined, and humanity had been building for 200 years. What else did they have that the Council didn't know about? Panic spread. Some Council species started talking about surrender. Surrender to whom? The humans were not attacking. They were just watching. That was somehow worse. On Earth, Governor Junho read the reports from Commander Yuna. He sat in his office, looking at the data. Around him, his advisors waited. They came begging, one advisor said. Just like you predicted. Ring. Yes, Junho said. And we sent them away, just like we planned. Some people think we should help. Another advisor said carefully. The Outer Rim species. The ones who aren't in the Council. They're suffering too. Junho was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked up. You're right, he said. We should help them. Not the Council. The Council made their choice. But the others? The ones the Council ignored? The ones too poor or too primitive to matter? Those, we help. Sir, the Council will see that as a provocation. I don't care what the Council sees, Junho said. We're not doing this for politics. We're doing it because it's right. And if the Council tries to stop us? Junho smiled coldly. Let them try. Across human space, the call went out. Volunteers were needed. Within days, thousands responded. Doctors like Dr. Sora prepared medical ships. Engineers like Hana organized supply convoys. Even retired military personnel like Officer Taeyong returned to service. Commander Yuna coordinated the operation. Remember, she told her fleet commanders, we're not going to Council space. We're going to the places the Council abandoned. We help those who can't help themselves. And if anyone tries to stop us, we remove them. The first human relief fleet left a week later. 50 ships heading to the Outer Rim. Where the Council had never bothered to go, the galaxy was shaking. But humanity was just getting started. The Outer Rim had always been forgotten. These were the poor worlds, the primitive civilizations, the species that did not matter to the Council. They had no resources worth taking, no strategic value, no voice in galactic politics. Now they were dying. The wars spreading from Council space reached them first. The Krathexi expansion pushed refugees into their systems. Pirates hunted freely in their space. Disease and starvation followed. They sent distress calls to the Council. The Council was too busy with its own problems to respond. Then the humans arrived. The first human fleet appeared in the Kelvar system. Kelvar was home to a species of peaceful farmers. They had no weapons, no military. When the pirates came, the Kelvar could only hide and hope to survive. The pirates were attacking the third planet when the human ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. 50 human warships against 20 pirate vessels. The battle lasted 11 minutes. Commander Yuna stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the last pirate ship explode. Send medical teams to the surface. Find out what they need. The Kelvar could not believe it. Strange beings in armored suits came to their cities. They spoke through translation devices. They brought medicine. They brought food. They brought builders to repair the damage. "Who are you?" the Kelvar leader asked Dr. Sora, who was treating wounded civilians. "We're humans," Sora said simply. She was working on a young Kelvar child who had been injured in the attack. "We're here to help." "Why? What do you want from us?" Sora looked up. "Nothing. You needed help. We came." The Kelvar leader did not understand. "But we have nothing to give you. We're poor. We have no technology. No resources." "We know," Sora said gently. "That's why we came. The ones with resources can take care of themselves." Word spread quickly through the outer rim. The humans were coming. The humans were helping. Species that had never heard of humanity suddenly knew their name. Within 2 months, 17 worlds had been saved. Human fleets drove off pirates and raiders. Human doctors treated plagues. Human engineers built water systems and power plants. Human teachers showed primitive species how to use basic technology. They asked for nothing in return. The Outer Rim began calling them the Guardians. Back in Council space, the situation grew worse. 4 more Council species withdrew from the Alliance. They had lost faith. Without human protection, they felt vulnerable. Some of those species did something unexpected. They asked to join the Human Coalition. Governor Junho received the first request on his desk. The Talvex people wanted to leave the Council and join humanity. They offered trade agreements, military basing rights, anything humans wanted. Junho called a meeting with his advisors. Engineer Hana was there, representing the survivors of New Incheon. Officer Taeyang attended via hologram from the border regions. Dr. Minho joined from his research station. "What do we do?" Junho asked them. "Accept them," Taeyang said immediately. "Every species that joins us makes us stronger, makes the Council weaker." "Is that what we're trying to do?" Hana asked. "Make the Council weaker? I thought we just wanted to be left alone." "We can't be left alone," Minho said. "Not anymore. The galaxy is falling apart. We either step in and build something better, or we watch it all burn." Junho nodded slowly. "I agree. But we don't build an empire. We build an alliance. A real one. Based on choice, not force. Anyone who wants to join can join. But they have to follow our rules. Protection of civilians comes first. Rights for all species. Justice over politics." "The Council won't like it," Hana said. "The Council can adapt or collapse," Junho replied. "That's their choice." The announcement went out. Humanity was accepting new members into their coalition. Any species could join. The requirements were simple. Respect civilian rights, contribute to mutual defense, share technology and resources fairly. 30 species applied in the first week. Counselor Zinthara watched the exodus with despair. The Council she had served for 3 centuries was dying. Not from war. From irrelevance. She walked through the nearly empty Council chambers. Once, every seat had been filled. Now, whole sections sat vacant. The species that remained were the ones too proud to admit failure or too afraid to leave. Chancellor Vren found her there. "We need to do something," he said. "We lost everything 18 months ago," Zinthara replied. "When we condemned the humans for surviving, we just didn't realize it yet. There must be something we can do. Some way to compete with them." "Compete?" Zinthara laughed bitterly. "How? They're doing what we always claimed to do. They're actually protecting people. They're building a real alliance. While we sit here and debate proper procedure, they're saving lives. We could change. It's too late, Vren. We had 200 years to be what we pretended to be. We chose comfort over justice, power over principles. Now we face the consequences. In the outer rim, the human presence continued to grow, but not all of it was gentle. Officer Taeyang commanded a strike force that hunted the Krathexi. His orders were clear. No mercy. The Krathexi had murdered 4 million humans on New Incheon. They would pay for every life. His ships found a Krathexi military base hidden in an asteroid field. They did not announce themselves. They did not offer surrender. They simply attacked. The base was destroyed in 20 minutes. No survivors. Taeyang felt no guilt. This was justice. But some humans disagreed. Dr. Sora sent a message to Governor Junho. "We're becoming what we hated," she wrote. "The council ignored justice when it was convenient. Now we're ignoring mercy when it's convenient. If we do this, how are we better than them?" Junho called Taeyang to a secure communication. "Is it true?" Junho asked. "You're destroying Krathexi bases without offering surrender?" "Yes, sir," Taeyang said without hesitation. "The Krathexi are a threat. We're eliminating that threat. We're not executioners, Commander. With respect, sir, they made themselves our enemies. They killed 4 million of our people. The council did nothing. Someone has to deliver justice." Junho was quiet for a long moment. "Justice and vengeance are different things, Taeyang. Make sure you know which one you're serving." Taeyang. "I do, sir. I'm serving both." The conversation ended. Junho sat in his office, troubled. Taeyang was right. The Krathexi were guilty. They had committed mass murder. But Sora was right too. If humanity became ruthless, they would lose what made them different from the council. It was a difficult balance. Protect the innocent. Punish the guilty. But remain human in both actions. On Earth, in a memorial park on New Incheon's rebuilt surface, Hana stood with a group of school children. They were a mix of species now. Human children, Kelvar children, Talvex children, all learning together. "Why did the council let the bad people hurt New Incheon?" a human child asked. Hana knelt down. "Because the council forgot something important. They forgot that rules without justice are just control. They had many rules, but they didn't care about right and wrong. They cared about power. But we care about right and wrong?" a Kelvar child asked. "We try to," Hana said. "We don't always succeed. Sometimes we make mistakes. But we keep trying. That's what matters." An older student, a Talvex girl, raised her hand. "My parents say humans are building a new galaxy. A better one." Hana smiled. "We're trying. But we can't do it alone. We need everyone's help. Human, Kelvar, Talvex, everyone. We build it together, or we don't build it at all." The children seemed to understand. That night, Hana sent a report to Governor Junho. In it, she wrote, "We're teaching the next generation that mercy and strength can coexist. That justice matters more than victory. That protecting others is more important than punishing enemies. If we remember these lessons, we'll build something that lasts." Junho read the report and felt hope for the first time in months. The galaxy was changing. The council represented the old way. Humanity represented something new. The question was, which future would win? 3 years had passed since humanity left the council. The galaxy looked very different now. The Galactic Council still existed, but barely. Only 800 species remained members. The rest had either joined the human coalition or declared independence. The Council's authority only extended to their core systems now. The rest of the galaxy had moved on. Counselor Zinthera walked through the empty halls of the council building. Once, these halls had been filled with diplomats and representatives from every corner of the galaxy. Now, they echoed with emptiness. She had one final task to complete. She had requested permission to visit Earth. To her surprise, Governor Junho had agreed. The human transport ship that carried her delegation was unlike anything the council had. It was efficient, clean, and the crew treated her with polite respect. Not the fearful deference she was used to, just simple respect between equals. When they arrived at Earth, Zinthera could not believe what she saw. The planet was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. But it was more than that. Orbital stations surrounded the planet. Each one was home to a different species. The Kelvar had a farming station. The Talvex had a research facility. A dozen other species had built homes here, all living together. They landed in a city that was impossible to describe. Buildings from 100 different cultures stood side by side. The streets were filled with beings of every shape and size. Humans walked alongside Kelvar, Talvex, and species Zinthera had never seen before. Everyone seemed peaceful, happy. Governor Junho met her in a simple garden, not a grand council chamber. He was older now, his hair showing gray, but his eyes were still sharp. "Thank you for seeing me," Zinthera said. "You were the only counselor who tried to warn them," Junho replied. "You deserve to be heard. Please, sit." They sat on a wooden bench under a tree. It felt strange to Zinthera. So simple, so human. "I came to apologize," Zinthera said. "For New Incheon. For everything the Council did to humanity. For 200 years of treating you as servants instead of partners." Junho was quiet for a moment. "I accept your apology. But I should tell you, I don't speak for all humanity. Some still carry anger. Some want revenge. I can't blame them." "What do you want?" Zinthera asked. "Nothing from you," Junho said simply. The Council had 200 years to be what it claimed to be. It chose politics over principles. Procedure over people. We won't make that mistake. Will you let the Council fall? That's not our choice to make. You built something corrupt. Whether it falls or changes is up to you. We're busy building something better. Commander Yuna joined them in the garden. She carried a data tablet. "The information you requested," she said, handing it to Zinthera. Zinthera looked at the tablet in confusion. "What is this?" "Everything," Dr. Minho said, walking up behind Yuna. He looked older too, but his eyes were bright with pride. "Every piece of technology we developed while in Council space, every medical breakthrough, every agricultural technique, every bit of knowledge we gained." "But why give this to us?" Zinthera asked. "After everything we did?" "Because we're not cruel," Minho said. "We're angry. We're disappointed. But we're not monsters. People in Council space are suffering because you relied on us for too long. This information might help them help themselves. There's a condition," Junho added. "This information is free for any species to use. It cannot be restricted or controlled by the Council. It belongs to everyone." End quote. Zinthera held the tablet like it was precious treasure. In a way, it was. This information could save millions of lives in Council space. "I don't understand you," she said softly. "We enslaved you. We used you. We let your people die. And you're giving us this gift?" "It's not a gift," Hana said, walking into the garden. She was older now too, her face lined with age. But she carried herself with dignity. "It's a lesson. We're showing you what you should have been all along. Generous, helpful, caring about others not because of what they can give you, but because it's the right thing to do." Zinthera looked at the humans gathered around her. They had every reason to hate the Council, to want revenge. But instead, they were showing mercy. "Will you ever rejoin the Council?" she asked. "No," Junho said firmly. "Never. The Council represents everything we reject. Hierarchy without justice. Power without responsibility. We're building something different. An alliance of equals, where every species has a voice, where protecting the weak matters more than controlling the strong. And if the Council changes, if we reform, then you'll have built something good," Yuna said. "And we'll be happy for you. We might even trade with you. Talk with you." But we'll never join you. That trust is broken forever. Zinthara nodded slowly. She understood. Some wounds cut too deep to heal completely. She spent 2 more days on Earth. She visited the Human Coalition Government Center. It was nothing like the council chambers. It was smaller, simpler. Representatives from 70 species worked together in one building. No hierarchy of seats. No voting based on power. Every species had one voice. Every voice mattered. She visited New Incheon. The world had been rebuilt. Cities stood where ruins once lay. But the humans had built something else too. A memorial. 4 million names carved in stone. Every person who died. Hana walked with her through the memorial. Do you ever forgive? Zinthara asked. We remember, Hana said. Forgiveness is complicated. We forgive people who are truly sorry and truly change. But we never forget. This memorial ensures the next generation knows what happens when those in power fail to protect the weak. They stopped at one section of the memorial. Thousands of small names. Children. The youngest victim was 3 days old, Hana said quietly. The oldest was 104. The council could have prevented this. They chose not to. That's not something you apologize away. Zinthara felt tears running down her face. I'm so sorry. I know you are, Hana said. But sorry doesn't bring them back. What matters now is what we build in their memory. We build a galaxy where this never happens again, where protecting children matters more than political convenience. On her last day, Zinthara met with Officer Taeyang. His reputation had spread even to council space. The man who showed no mercy to the Krathexi. Do you hate us? She asked him directly. Taeyang considered the question carefully. I hate what you represent. I hate that you had the power to do good and chose not to. Do I hate you personally? No. You tried to warn them, but I'll never trust the council again. Do you think humanity is better than the council? We're trying to be, Taeyang said. We don't always succeed. I've made choices I'm not proud of, but we keep trying. That's the difference. The council stopped trying a long time ago. When Zinthara's ship prepared to leave, dozens of humans came to say goodbye. She was surprised. She had expected coldness. Instead, she found courtesy. Why are you being kind to me? She asked Junho. Because kindness costs us nothing, Junho replied. And because you came here with honest intentions. We judge people by their actions, not their association. You acted with honor. So we treat you with honor. The trip back to council space took 3 days. Zinthara spent those days reading the information the humans had given her. It was extraordinary. Medical cures, engineering solutions, agricultural methods that could end starvation on a dozen worlds, all given freely. No conditions except that it be shared with everyone. When she returned, she called an emergency council session. She presented everything she had learned. She showed them the data humans had provided. She explained what the human coalition had become. They've built what we always claimed to be, she said, an alliance based on mutual respect. Where protecting the weak is the highest priority. Where every species matters. They did it in 3 years. We couldn't do it in 3,000. Chancellor Vren looked at the data with greedy eyes. This information could help us rebuild. Restore the council to its former glory. You still don't understand, Zinthara said tiredly. The council never had glory. It had power. Those are different things. The humans showed me real glory. It's measured in lives saved, not territory controlled. What do you suggest we do? Zinthara stood. I suggest we learn. We take this gift they've given us. We use it to help our people. And we finally become what we should have been all along. Not rulers, servants. We serve our people. We protect the weak. We do what's right, instead of what's convenient. And if we can't change? Another counselor asked. Then we deserve to fall, Zinthara said simply. She left the chamber. She was done. She had tried for 3 years to make the council understand. If they still didn't get it, nothing would help them. That night, she sent one final message to Governor Junho. Thank you for showing an old fool what real civilization looks like. I will spend my remaining years trying to build something worthy of the lesson you taught me. Junho read the message and smiled. Change was possible. Even for the council. It would take time. It would take work. But it was possible. On Earth, in the memorial park on New Incheon, a new generation played. Human children. Kelvar children. Talvex children. A dozen other species. All playing together. Hana watched them, now very old. A young human girl ran up to her. Teacher Hana, is it true that people used to fight each other? That species hated each other? Yes, dear. Hana said gently. Why? Because they forgot something important. They forgot that we're all just people. We all want the same things. Safety for our children. Food for our families. A chance to live in peace. We don't forget that now, do we? Hana smiled. No, sweetie. We don't. We remember. And we build a galaxy where everyone can live safely. The child ran back to play with her friends. Hana watched them go. This was the future. Not perfect. Not without problems. But better. Always trying to be better. The council had finally learned its lesson. But the lesson had cost them everything. Humanity had learned a different lesson. That walking away from corruption was sometimes the bravest choice. That building something new was better than fixing something broken beyond repair. The galaxy had shaken. And when it settled, the landscape had changed forever. The old order was dying. A new order, built on justice instead of power, was rising. And at the center of that new order stood humanity. Not as rulers, as guardians, protecting those who could not protect themselves, building a civilization worth believing in. It had taken 4 million deaths to teach the galaxy that lesson, but it was a lesson the galaxy would never forget.